Well, hello. Thanks for coming back to check out another video. So, we are here today to sit down and do an eye look. It is this eye look, this halo eye. Now, let me ask you guys, do you care if when you click on a video to see an eye look, if the person is already wearing the eye look in the introduction? Or do you want to be surprised? Like, should I have naked eyes on filming these introductions and then we'll get into the eye look together? Do you want that, or does it really not matter? I don't know. To me, it really doesn't matter. I kind of like to switch it up, but I just thought I would ask your opinion since we're here. So, it is October. I am so happy. Well, it's still September while I'm filming this, but you're seeing it in October, and I am so happy. It's the best month of the year. So, I really wanted to, in the month of October, pull out all of my spooky themed eyeshadow palettes, like just those ones that give me like Halloween vibes. It's just a good excuse to play around with them, and I am here for the spooky season, so this is how I am going to celebrate it. So the first palette that we are going to play around with for our spooky season play around time is the Nomad Haunted Europe palette. So if I'm not mistaken, this palette launched last year around this time. This was their fall release. I know that they did just come out with their Hudson Valley palette, which is their this year's fall release, but this one is still available on their website if I am not mistaken. So this is actually the third time that I am playing around with this palette. The two previous times were off camera. And I have to say, this eye look is my favorite eye look that I have done using this palette. So I'm really glad that I kind of saved it, in order to film it. Because like I said, it's my favorite one. And I feel like it was really simple. We only used like 4 or 5 eyeshadows from this palette. And I'm really proud of myself because I did challenge myself to use this gold shade here, Boogeyman. And if you've been here for any length amount of time, you know that gold shadows aren't really necessarily my favorite. This one does have a little bit of like oranginess to it, so I feel like I can pull it off without looking sickly, but I'm just proud that I did challenge myself to actually play around with a gold eyeshadow. So how much more can Haley ramble about one palette before actually getting into the eye look? Let's not sit here and try to find out. Let's just go do a fade and we will get into how I accomplished this halo eye using the Nomad Haunted Europe palette. Okay, so an eye look using the Nomad Haunted Europe palette. I have to say, I was going to try to challenge myself to use the gold shadows that are in here because I'm just not like the biggest fan of gold shadows, and I just want to see how those perform, but I'm not quite sure. I don't know. Part of me wants to go like a little bit more spooky, and play with some of the like beautiful darker shades that are within this palette. I think we're going to try it though. I think we're going to try to do a halo eye using one of these two gold shades. I haven't really decided yet, but I think I want to do like maybe this orangey shade here and then this like darker, almost like brick red kind of shade. I just think that that could be really pretty, especially for the fall season. So I think that's the game plan. All right, so I'm going to take my Rephr 15 brush, which is just a big fluffy brush, and I'm going to first dip into this kind of like, I don't know, light brown shade. It's called Mary King's Close. I'm just going to very lightly tap my brush into that. And the only reason is so that I can do the like shape that I want from my crease work from my halo eye. And by doing this, I feel like I never go above, like too high. If I just use a very light kind of transition shade and then do the halo eye like built around that. So that's what we're doing right now. Alright, so I did put down that very neutral light brown shade. I don't even think that you can tell that I did that, which is good. That's kind of the point. It's really just for me. It gives just a very light dusting of color. And then, like I said, I make sure that I don't like blend too far up and make my eye look really crazy. So I think what we're going to do is take this Frankenstein. Isn't that how you would say it in like Germany? Anyway, the Frankenstein shade, this like pretty orangey shade, that's what we are going to make our first color for our halo eye. And so I'm going to take this, I think this brush might be too big, but we're going to try it. It's from Blend Bunny. It's the B5 brush. Now the Blend Bunny brushes are nice because they are small and you can really like get in there to do the kind of crease work that you want, like especially if you have a smaller eye shape like I feel I do. I don't feel like I have a ton of real estate to be working with. So I'm just kind of loosely, I think we're going to go for more of like a messy halo eye, you know what I mean? So I'm just loosely kind of small sweeping motions, just putting this on a diagonal in my inner corner because I like to start my halo eyes out in my inner part of my eyelid. Alright, so keeping with the Frankenstein shade, I'm just going to go into the outer V here and kind of, again, very sloppily place where I want this orangey shade at for the halo eye. I'm okay if like I don't leave a ton of empty space here in the middle. We are just going to take some concealer to that area in order to, give ourselves a base for our shimmer shade. I don't normally talk and do my eyeshadow, so when I do looks for you guys, like on, in filming, my brain. As you can tell, probably, I don't talk while I do my eyeshadow, so it's kind of hard for my brain to like do these two things at one time. Alright, so I really like the shape that I have going on. I feel like that shadow is really pretty. It's like the perfect kind of burnt orange shade, Really enjoying that. Okay, so to deepen this up, I am going to take that, I don't want to butcher the name of it, but this like bottom shade right here. I think that this is going to be a really pretty like kind of brick red almost shade. The ring light might wash that out a little bit too much for you guys. It's a shade, actually all of the shades that I'm using right now I have not yet used, so hopefully this turns out lovely. I'm going to take my Rephr 13 brush, which is one of my smallest brushes that I have in my collection, and I am going to just kind of tuck this in on the lid space, but obviously not bring it up as high as we did the orange shade. But this is just going to help deepen things out. And I might try to do 2 layers of this, but I just kind of want to get it placed first so that I can make sure that I like the shape that we're going with. And I think you can tell like I'm doing more of like a patting motion rather than like a blending motion. I have found that with the Nomad mattes, they really do a better job, and their shimmers, if you like pad them out and then just like lightly blend out your edges. Alright, so there are those 2 shadows placed down together. I don't feel like I lost any of the like orangey shade that we put down first, so I don't feel the need to take our original blending brush and like put down more orange. However, once we get the center lid shade done, maybe I'll change my mind about it then. But I think we are ready to go in with concealer and map out where we want this center lid shade. Alright, so I just grabbed my Rare Beauty concealer in the shade 140C, and that's just what I'm going to use. And I am going to take this all the way up because sometimes I like to have the more closed halo eye, but here recently I've really been loving having it meet up with the matte shadows in the center. So that is what we're going to do. Alright, so I did swatch out the 2 like shimmer yellow shades. So this first one is like the brighter one. It's Huska Castle. Sorry if I'm butchering that. And then this other one is the like darker yellow, which is called Boogeyman. So it looks like to me, Boogeyman has more of like an oranginess to it than the other one. This one's definitely a lighter kind of yellow shade. I think I want to do Boogeyman simply because I feel like that'll tie in better with the like red orangey vibe we have going on. Alright, so the other thing that I have found with the Nomad shimmers that I like to do is instead of using like a very dense kind of brush, like what you would normally use to apply shimmer shades, or like what I guess most of us would think to use to apply shimmer shades, I like to go in with a fluffy brush. Now you are going to get a bit of fallout doing it this way, but I just use a duo fiber brush to wipe that away. I feel like though, for whatever reason, this fluffy, like a fluffier brush, you can see it's just a small one, but it is on the more fluffy side. This is from BH Cosmetics, part of their Miss Bella set. Hopefully I didn't blind you guys with the mirror. Anyway, I feel like this gives you a better like color payoff with these shimmers, because you guys have heard me say before, like the Nomad shimmers are not like my favorite. I just don't feel like they're as impactful as some other shimmer shadows that are on the market. And that's not a bad thing. Some people don't want like the bam in your face shimmers, but that's what I want and that's what I expected from them. So when I didn't get it, I was a little bit disappointed. You know what I mean? But either way, I feel like this technique really does help them to pop more and be more vibrant. I think you could also tell, like, I was doing much more of like a patting motion as opposed to like a pat down motion as opposed to like a blending motion. So this is just that first brush that we had with that very light neutral brown transition shade, and I just want to like kind of go over the outermost edges of this eye look first before I fix up like the blending between the mattes and the shimmers. Alright, so I do feel like we lost a little bit of the orange, so I just took a bit of it on the Blend Bunny brush, and I'm just going to lightly kind of put it back where we had it. Alright, so going back into our red shade, I'm just going to stamp that to help the blend between the mattes and the shimmers, and then just lightly on the edge blend it out but not cover up the orange shade. Alright, so I think what I want to do now that the eye look is kind of complete, like we're almost done, I'm deciding on an eyeliner. I brought out a brown originally because I thought like, ooh, oranges and yellows and browns, right? But I'm thinking I actually want to do like this grungy green eyeliner. I just feel like that could be really pretty and kind of like give it a little bit of something different. So this is from the Sephora brand. It's one of their 12-hour colorful eyeliners. Again, my brain. This is in the shade T-Rex, so I'm just going to apply that to my waterline. Alright, so as far as like an inner corner eyeshadow the lightest shades in here are these like two shimmery shades right here, but I don't really think either one of them is going to go with this eye look. It's more of like a minty green and then like kind of like a champagne silver shade. So I think honestly kind of what I'm aiming to do, because I already like when I was blending in the like putting the eyeshadow on my inner part of my lid, I got some of the orange shade like on my inner corner already, and I kind of like the look of that. So I think I'm just going to do a dark matte inner corner. Like, it's fall, you know, we are here for the grunginess, right? Okay, so I really like the way that that looks with like this kind of dark matte inner corner. I don't know, I don't think I've ever done something like that. So for the lower lash line, you could just like mimic what you did, or you could use a combination of like the red and the orange shade. But I think honestly what I want to do is just go in with like a brown. I don't know. I don't really want to be adventurous. I just think a brown will tie it in quite nicely. So I'm going to use the, let's see, this is probably the darkest brown in here. I think that this could be really pretty, just buffed out, really tightly tucked onto the lower lash line. Alright, so zoomed back out, a little less personal now. So I did use this mascara from r.e.m Beauty. This is their Lengthening Mascara. I think it also volumizes. It's kind of nice. It's a very wet formula though, so if you pick this up, it's probably one that you're going to want to open and let it dry out, because it will transfer to your upper lid space. Then for lips, I just decided to kind of commit to the orange theme. I have an orange blush on. You know, we played with orange eyeshadow. So this is from Sephora, part of their Lipstories line, and this is the shade Adventuring, which is kind of like an orangey brown shade. It's really pretty. And then for a gloss, just because I feel like these lipsticks are really comfortable, but I just feel like I'm the most comfortable having a gloss topped off on top of things. So I just picked out my most nude lip gloss, which is unfortunately from JStar. It's in the shade Mouthful, but I'm just trying to get that used up. So that is the rest of the details about what I put on my face. I will try in the description box to leave everything else that I have on, like base makeup and, you know, blushes and things like that, just in case you're curious. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed the spooky look, even though it really wasn't all that spooky. But we're playing with all of our spooky themed eyeshadow palettes since it is the month of October. And I have to say, this is the third eye look that I have done myself using the Nomad Haunted Europe palette, and I really like the way that this one turned out. This is by far my favorite eye look, and I'm really impressed with the way that the mattes that I used played, and like you were able to build them up and they blended out really nicely. And like I said, I'm surprisingly shocked at how much I actually do really like this Boogeyman shade. So thank you so much for sticking around until the end. I hope you guys are having a good day, a good night, or a good whatever, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.